The cold air amidst the spirit dust particles drifts through the deep dark woods of Ailakoko, forming a vision-blocking mist that rendered the efforts of the moonlight vain. Illusions formed out of the mist were the kind that could drive the most invincible warrior to a state of insanity. Only the most treacherous beasts and creatures walked through the never-aging woods. It was a feasting ground for evil beings of all kinds, and was a punishment ground for men who had braved the great Apara. It was said that his power could be compared to the ancient gods. Men who were banished into the ageless woods were not only banished, but were branded with a curse that made them transform into men-beasts. On these cold hours of darkness, the blood that went through their veins gyrated, for they had sensed fresh human blood in the ageless woods with their keen sense of smell. They began their pursuit from afar, thousands of men-beasts approaching from diverse directions, the most treacherous creatures emanating from beneath the earth, swiftly advancing towards their human target, Ayoka. And so did she move quickly on her feet. The stomp of her bare feet hitting the ground echoed miles away. Soon she had begun to sense the man-beast, but she paid no mind and continued in her path for survival. The rhythm of her heart beat faster than a talking drum, for what she ran away from was much more terrifying than any man-beast or treacherous creatures. Turning her back at intervals as she ran, her pursuers were in sight, with size as huge as the dark trees. The ghostly colors were no different from the mist. Their hollow eyes were as dark as the night. With every screech her pursuers made, their mouth-like features opened like a black hole, sucking in everything surrounding them, even the men-beasts in their pursuit to feed. The panoramas went after Ayoka's life and what she had newly possessed, something of grave importance to their master. A time scroll, one she had robbed off from the great Apara. Behind one of the dark trees, hiding in the mist, Ayoka stopped, panting and holding her chest like she was on the verge of collapsing. The fear in her eyes had just doubled. The ground beneath her legs shook as a creeping creature emanated. She caught the creature by its neck, making a weapon out of the tree behind her. She rammed the creature's head into the tree, pitilessly, that its branches shook. She pulled out the pin dagger that held her hair, and with it, she bored a hole into the creature's chest and took out its heart. Holding the steady beating heart in her hand, she tore it open with the dagger, allowing the blood run into the time scroll she had placed on the grounds of Ailakoko. A bright light shone out of the scroll as it unveiled itself. Ayoka ripped her clothes, revealing her bare chest. From the hem of her clothes, she tore a piece. She inserted the whole piece into her mouth, biting it hard with her teeth to prepare for the immeasurable pain that was coming. She pressed her pin dagger into her chest, slicing her flesh open. The visible veins protruding from her forehead could explain vividly the intense pain Ayoka felt at that moment. But more was coming, as her goal was not yet met. Her rapid beating heart could feel an intruder in its rib chambers. Her hand was deep inside her chest, searching for what gave her life. Her mouth opened excessively as she screamed out in pain. Her beating heart was now in her bare hand, with destruction on its way, led by the panoramas and the men-beasts in sight. Ayoka's eyes glowed faint silver as she muttered the ancient incantations. Ayoka's veins on her forehead protruded even more as she added pressure to the grip on her heart. The rhythm of her heart stopped in an instant, and there was silence in the dark woods. The man-beast froze up in diverse positions. The panoramas, too. Her body stayed in the same spot, and time was not allowed to pass, for Ayoka had suspended time and space in the woods of Ailakoko. Suddenly, her body began to shrink till it became dust. Just then, time resumed, and so did everything in Ailakoko. The panoramas and man-beasts kicked off from where they stopped, but Ayoka was nowhere in sight. The panorama picked up the scroll so as to complete their primary assignment. They made their way out of the dark woods, and as they got to the edge, like sorcery, they found themselves deep inside Ailakoko, where they had first started their journey, the exact position where they had picked up the scroll. They screeched so loudly it deafened and troubled the man-beasts surrounding them, trying again to leave the dark woods, but nothing changed. The panoramas, man-beasts, creeping creatures, and all supernatural beings then realized it. The dark woods of Ailakoko had been cursed with a time hex, conjured by Ayoka. Ayoka's curse was one that trapped the space around Ailakoko in an infinite time cage. However, time outside the woods continued as normal, but none outside the dark woods could access Ailakoko, for it no longer existed in their own time and space.